Located on 225 acres in Garden City, Long Island, Nassau Community College, a member of the State University of New York system, has close to 20,000 students attend the school each year. The college mascot is Leo the Lion, and these are his stories of the school's absolute best and brightest who have graduated over the past 50-plus years. Let's catch up together as the Alumni Association of Nassau Community College proudly presents Lion Tales, a Nassau Community College Foundation production on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Welcome to Lion Tales, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Aurora Workman. I am president of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association. I'm here with my friend and co-host, Dr. Lynnda Nadien, a proud graduate of Nassau Community College, and together we'll share stories that will inspire, uplift, and often amuse you.
Each week, Aurora and I will introduce you to alumni of Nassau Community College interested in sharing their experience here at Nassau Community College, along with the secrets to their success.
And we have to send out a big congratulations to former Nassau Community College football transfer who is now in the NFL, tight end Ian Thomas, who transferred to Indiana after Nassau Community College was drafted by the Carolina Panthers with the 101 overall pick in the fourth round of the 2018 NFL Draft. Wow. And we wish Ian Thomas good health and a long career.
Look for many new and exciting events on the Alumni Association social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, and our web pages at www.nassaucommunitycollege.edu/alumni. If you, our listening audience, has any positive news you would like to share about Nassau Community College alumni, engagements, births, graduations, weddings, and or accolades, email us at alumni@nassaucommunitycollege.edu and we will shout you out.
Now, today's guest is Sam Kille, Communications Director for the Shepherd Higher Education Consortium on Poverty. He's a veteran of the Marine Corps and, of course, a proud graduate of Nassau Community College. Welcome to Lion Tales, Sam Kille, class of 2003.
Aurora, Lynnda, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So there is so much that I'm just so impressed at Nassau's graduates, every single one who comes. But you, sir, you recently began working with the Shepherd Higher Education Consortium on Poverty. Can you tell us about them and what you do there?
Sure. So SHEP, or the Consortium, as we sometimes refer it, because it's a pretty long name we have, is a collaboration of more than 24 colleges and universities across the country that really seek to transform poverty studies in college campuses. And we do that both in the classroom through studies as well as a summer internship program where we place interns with nonprofits who are working on poverty-related work.
Wonderful.
And then as the communications director for them, what does your role entail?
So I'm really proud to be the first communications director for SHEP, and which is really a sign that the organization is growing in size and in support. And as any nonprofit organization grows, it really has to establish a communication strategy that will help fuel that growth and help fund development. And being at a small nonprofit, for me, the job is a lot more than just being, strategic counsel for the executive director. It's handling everything communication. So from media relations to the print production of collateral materials, maintaining the website, doing the social media, basically anything communications-wise, it falls under my lap.
And has social media increased your ability to really communicate more effectively with just even in a local sense? And then it moves out, obviously, into the national sense.
So I love social media. It's something I've been using in a lot of my jobs because we're a growing organization. One of the things I've done since starting, and I just started about 5 months ago, is really trying to grow that social media presence, creating new ways to reach people, especially our students. Because all the students themselves, of course, are using social media. So really looking for ways to engage our stakeholders.
Yeah. And then working for a nonprofit, you must be very aware of, poverty levels in general and, not only across the world, but, right here, that what we're dealing with, and how big is this problem and how much of an impact impact do you think you're having and you can have in the future?
I appreciate you asking that. And first of all, for SHEP, our focus is really on poverty in the United States.
Yeah. Okay.
Of course, a lot of our students go on and study, the problems of poverty across the world. But there's a lot of debate these days as to whether or not the war on poverty, which was launched by President Johnson in the 1960s, whether we've won that war. Because when you think about it, we hear a lot of it today in the news about how, unemployment is at its lowest levels, the stock market is climbing, everything seems to look great, but there are still 40 million people in this country who live below the federal poverty line.
And they say that the Bronx ranks 4th in the nation for poverty. Is that correct?
I don't know that exact number, but I know that it's up there. And there are pockets of poverty all over the country, urban and rural areas. And our interns work in both of those areas. We send them to geographic locations across the country. And it's important to remember, it wasn't that long ago, the 2008 recession.
Right.
There's nothing to say that another economic event like that couldn't happen, and we could see a spike in poverty. And with poverty, there are a lot of more issues than just, we think of unemployment, we think of homelessness, but there are cascading effects that take place. It affects, your medical, mental health. Mental health is a huge problem. People who suffer poverty are adults higher rates of mental health issues. So it's really important that we really focus and learn and study, and that's what our students do, is they learn about the causes, the root causes and consequences of poverty.
Well, we look around here. This is Nassau County, and one of the things is to wake up and as a neighbor and see your neighbor's items out. The sheriff has come in the morning, and there's foreclosures around where, especially in an area like Nassau County, and a lot of people don't see it. And when someone says poverty level, they will skip right over. Well, Nassau County has the most, the richest county, or whatever. But do you examine what's happening to, I guess they would say, the middle classes or suburban areas, and what's going on behind those closed doors?
So obviously, because we're a consortium with schools all across the country, different schools do look at things differently. The studies portion of everything we kind of leave up to the colleges themselves to dictate what kind of coursework is going to be there, what the learning outcomes are. Our role really comes into beyond kind of maintaining the consortium is the internship programs and placing the interns and programs all across the country. And ultimately our goal is beyond just helping these nonprofits that are doing great work and providing them free labor for 8 weeks of the summer. It's our hope that the students will be able to use that work with their future career aspirations. So if they're studying law, medicine, maybe they'll do pro bono work after they graduate college. Or even this past summer, we had a student from Notre Dame who was studying architecture. And you wouldn't really think of architecture as it relates to poverty.
Right.
But he was placed with an organization in Brownsville, Brooklyn, one of the poorest areas of New York City, and he rebuilt a community center using his skills. So, ultimately, I think time will be the true test of our impact. And we're always looking for better ways to measure outcomes, especially as we grow and professionalize as a team. Right now, we have 5 people on our team, and I'm one of those people who joined this past year. So we're looking to grow, but, one thing, I can say is over the years, we've placed more than 1,100 interns who've provided more than 40,000 hours of service to communities all across the country.
That's wonderful. And we're going to talk more about that. You are listening to Line Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. I am Aurora Workman along with Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is Sam Kille, former Marine, Nassau Community College alumni, and currently Communications Director for the Shepherd Higher Education Consortium on Poverty. So let me understand now, because we're at Nassau Community College, and I know the internships programs grow. How do you introduce this program to the campuses?
So it's the schools themselves that do the selection process with the interns. They do the recruiting. We help provide materials for them to do the recruiting. So to become an intern with SHEP, you first have to, of course, be going to one of our consortium schools. So we are always looking to expand the number of schools. Right now we have 25 schools that are part of the consortium. We're looking to probably add another 1 or 2 schools this year and continue to do that as the years go by.
How are you eligible to be a school? Are you looking for a certain criteria, or?
So we look for schools that hopefully have some kind of program.
Right.
There are many schools who have poverty-related studies. We look for them to provide, kind of, for the interns, a Poverty 101 kind of course that gets them exposure, gets them to think about what it is before they go and do the internship, where they'll be, living in the community that they're serving, going to work, working every day with people who are suffering from poverty. And we only provide them a very small per diem just to help cover their food and transportation costs. But the group of students, they're not just working it. In some ways, they're also kind of living it and experiencing it. So we want to make sure they're prepared beforehand. So we look to the schools to provide that practical
because
experience.
that's sort of like knowing that in the future that you'd be an advocate for making things better, like assuming that you're doing an internship like this and then you want to study law. And
these students it's not their major. Poverty isn't their major. But for some, it's their minor, depending on the school. And for others, it's just something that they're interested in. And so we help empower them to be able to take their passion and turn it into
And even when
change.
you say that word poverty, you feel that sort of, shiver, because it has a lot of different definitions. Like, how would you really define it?
Well, it depends. It's defined differently even by our own government. And it depends on, family size, all of that. Typically, right now, the federal poverty line for a family of four is $25,000 a year. But that's federal. Obviously, you go to different places in the country, you have different, income levels, cost of living, everything else.
Especially, on Long Island. I mean, even when we're talking about Brooklyn, where you could go on one street and the rent is $6,000, and you could go on another street and there's a burned out building. So the realtors are coming in and they're really taking over with something like that. So I think that that's so interesting too, that when we speak about Brooklyn, how do we advocate again for some type of equity in that sense?
Well, in every town and county you have that. One street over, and then all of a sudden you notice the potholes are numerous. Or you're coming down one road and then you say, oh, well, this side I'm in this town and this side I'm in that town, and how do you know? Oh, because they just hit the potholes and things. So a lot of times, poverty does take a lot of different shapes, and it affects a lot of different people. We're working, I know, at the college, a lot of the students have assisted with the military families and veterans. And as a veteran, it's we come up to you and we say thank you for your service.
Yes.
But we should be sitting up there and giving a service or some kind of way so that you don't have veterans who are homeless and hungry. And so a lot of poverty, when we think about it, how should we think about it in terms of having an aspiration to assist with something that's a little more I don't know how
intensified, I guess.
Intensified, but comprehensive in terms of
I guess like a working knowledge of what it really means.
That's why it's important to understand it, to be able to see it, to recognize it, to know it's there.
Right.
Because that's the first step of anything, right? Is acknowledging that there's an issue.
Right.
And then looking for the ways to solve that issue.
Right.
Yeah, because I think as a society we have a tendency to turn our back on what is needed the most because we're sort of afraid to face the fact that it is there. And we do live in a very affluent county. However, again, one block could be not as affluent as the other, and maintaining that ability to find some type of equity to work with it. And you were a public affairs specialist and also a military journalist. Can you talk a little bit about that?
We'll talk about a little more about
we'll
that.
Come back to that. You're listening to Lion Tales. Today's guest is former alumnus of Nassau Community College and currently working as communications director at the Shepherd Higher Education Consortium on Poverty, Sam Kille. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, along with Aurora Workman, on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
I wasn't prepared to be a caregiver to Mom, but a little over a year ago, we realized she couldn't take care of herself without our help. And well, how could I not be there for her? I had no idea how hard it would be, and just what I would need to know. Things I never thought of, like how to improve her mood and, even for me, ways to stay positive. Luckily, I found the Caregiving Resource Center from AARP. It had articles about the basics that got me started, but also information about the hurdles I was facing in this new role. I could even connect with experts and hear from others who had been in my place. I know this road we're on isn't an easy one, but I'm really happy to have the extra help for her and for me. Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving. Articles, tips, and tools to help you both care for your loved one and care for yourself. This message is brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Lion Tales, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation, on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Dr. Lynnda Nadien, along with Aurora Workman, and our guest today is Sam Kille, former graduate of Nassau Community College, former Marine, and now the Communications Director over at the Shepherd Higher Education Consortium on Poverty. So, getting back to some of our questions that we had, you have so many interesting things in your background. One in particular was serving as a national spokesperson during major disasters, including hurricanes, Superstorm Sandy, and we all remember her. Can you talk a little bit about that?
That was an experience, to say the least. I had spent a number of years working for the American Red Cross when I first left the military, so dealing with disasters was nothing really new, responding to all the house fires that take place here on Long Island, as well as New York City all the time, and then other disasters that took place. Sandy obviously had a huge impact on the whole New York area. And as the communications director for the Red Cross in New York, it was my responsibility before the storm to get word out about, where people could go for shelters, how they could be prepared if they're, sheltering in their homes. And then, of course, after the storm, where could you get services? And obviously, we had massive power outages, fuel shortages, everything else, and trying to let people know where they could go and what kind of help they could get, had to become very creative at times. Because obviously it's easy to go on the news and talk, but if someone doesn't have power, they're not watching the news.
Right.
So
Exactly.
how else do you get to them? And it was actually one of the first times I really saw social media used to a really unique and new level, because we have people, especially in places like the Rockaways in Queens, who live in huge high-rise buildings. Most people don't know that there are a lot of housing projects in Rockaways. So they didn't necessarily see or know where they could go. So we would have to tell people on social media, we were telling where our drivers were, like as they drove from one block to the next. Truck 420 is at the corner of this and that. So it's sometimes really coming up with unique ways to think about how can you get that message out, because it's always thinking about in communications, like who's your audience and what's the need.
Because how do we become better prepared for something like that? Because we probably were never prepared. It was the storm. The next 100 years would be that storm,
right? And
or
we waited. We
just weren't.
It's not
prepared.
But that's one of the things. So as communications director for the Consortium on Poverty, and you talked about that audience, what are some of the, I should say, first advantages, not of just social media, but in thinking about your audiences and you're capturing them from all different planes, whether it's rural or the suburbs, how do you get the message out on what the consortium can do for the communities?
So it's kind of unique to the fact that, first of all, the interns are working for various nonprofits in their communities or government agencies, so those agencies themselves kind of are talking about the work that they do. So one of the challenges since taking over the job is trying to make sure that we're part of that equation, letting people know about it, sharing the great work that these interns are doing. They're giving up their summer. When you think of most, young college students, there are a lot of things they could be doing in between semesters there, and to give up their summer to work in an impoverished community somewhere and help people, that can be trying and challenging. So getting the word back to their homes, I established a hometown news release program with our interns so that their local newspapers learned about, Jane who's a student, at this school, spent her summer doing this, and this is what it was about. So that's one thing, is getting the word out there. And it's also in communications, you always have different stakeholders that you have to worry about. So it's like, how am I reaching the students? How am I making sure that the schools who are making an investment in the program, that their faculty is being recognized and the work that they're doing is being recognized? So it's really working with all these different various stakeholders and crafting that message for each, and then making the public know, kind of aware of who we are. Sometimes you get opportunities like this, but sometimes it's just a matter of really pushing the message out there to really share the work and impact that's being done.
Right. And then on a lighter note, you've also done some script writing for major fundraising benefits. You've written speeches for other people, and you've appeared on shows, CNN America Morning, MSNBC Live, Fox News Live, CBS Early Show, and several others. What can you tell us about those opportunities?
So when you work in communications, those are kind of that's where all the hard work is kind of paid off, it feels sometimes. Not always, but most of the time. But going on to shows and telling a story and being able to communicate as to, what is happening, what might be needed, is really rewarding work. I'd be lying if I didn't say I love being in the spotlight sometimes. It can be enjoyable. But at the same time, also, it's important to remember when you're in communications that sometimes you're the storyteller, and sometimes you're putting the words in someone else's mouth. So events like that fundraiser, which is Stand Up for Heroes, which takes place at Madison Square Garden every year and raises funds for wounded veterans. The head of the founder of the foundation, Bob Woodruff, is an award-winning ABC News anchor, and trying to put the words in his mouth. It's important to remember that you have to do it in their voice. But when you hear them come across with your words, and when they don't ad-lib and go off script, you feel really good about what you do. And I've had some amazing experiences. Who
are some people that you've met that made that difference, that you feel are in the public eye? You may not be as well known at this point, but people that are well known, who stands out as someone who's a real advocate?
So it was really great working with Bob Woodruff, who obviously, after being injured by a roadside bomb while covering the war in Iraq, really wanted to give back to veterans, his family. They felt that they needed to do something. So working with him on scripts, or going out with him to shoot video to help support fundraising efforts, or to tell the story of what we're doing, was always amazing. But there are also times where I got to stand on the side of a stage and watch Bruce Springsteen perform, or one of the funniest moments I ever had
on WHPC 90.3.
You're listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. My name is Aurora Workman, along with Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is Sam Kille, class of 2003, and currently working as the communications director for the Shepherd Higher Education Consortium on Poverty. Now, we were hearing about all the hard work that you have to do to watch Bruce Springsteen backstage. But we want, and it's really great that you have been a student of Nassau Community College. What are some of the things that you would say if you're talking to a group of communication majors now? What should they be looking for in the field of communications, and who may they be looking for some of the same opportunities? How can they look for those opportunities that you've had, or have you stumbled on them?
Well, first thing I'd encourage students to do is to explore coursework that really makes them a well-rounded communicator. These days, it's not enough to be a great writer or to be a great photographer. You really need to kind of know a little bit of everything. So many things are combined, especially in this multimedia world that we live in now, where everything's online and everyone wants information really quick and very visual. So really become a well-rounded person. Take a lot of different courses. You can hone your ability to be able to do interviews by doing public speaking classes and looking for opportunities to speak to groups, not just looking for interview opportunities. And then beyond honing those skills, also look for internships and volunteer opportunities. When I worked for Team Rubicon, I gained that position because I had volunteered with them, so they saw the level and quality of my work, and it became a paid opportunity for me. So that's great, always one thing people can do. And then most of all, build your personal network. Communications is all about relationship building. So build that network. make sure that you use integrity and build credibility with people, but that's really how you find yourself with the media coming to you for story opportunities.
Right. And I think having a strong basis of content knowledge in different subject areas makes people so much more well-rounded, and when they do speak in public, they have more to offer, trivia and pop culture and things that are going on, but also the history of the country and the issues related to poverty, like we discussed earlier, defining things and encapsulating them to make it make sense for others who may not be working in the field.
Exactly. There's always a connection that can be made there.
So now, as an alumni, we're all alumni.
Yeah.
What were some of your greatest moments at NASA, or an event that occurred here that you remember?
Well, I'm very grateful to NASA for helping, provide the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Helping me develop as a writer, helping me think about things. And one of the professors I had, I took a sociology class. It didn't have anything to do with communications.
With Professor
per se.
Wise?
No, it was Professor Colo. It was a while ago. But it happened to be in 2001, and the semester had just started, and we had the 9/11 attacks. And as an immigrant, he had his own very unique ideas and thoughts as to reasons behind the terror attacks, and he had his own thoughts on the war that resulted. And of course I had my own, especially as I was no longer active duty, but I was a Marine reservist at the time. Ended up becoming activated because of it, but we didn't necessarily agree on a lot of things, but it was an opportunity to share and listen to thoughts, because that's what he did allow me to do. He didn't allow people to just come up with arguments with no kind of backing to it. But if you could come up with an argument, critically think about it, think about the other side, it really shows you that there's a lot to learn, and you can learn from each other, and that just always stuck with me. But there are always two sides to every story.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that NASA did even provide for me, an opportunity to first all learn and meet new people and listen and learn about them culturally or in socioeconomically. The differences that when you were put on for out of your community and you give into this big community called NASA Community College, you learn a lot. And so that's one of the things that a lot of our listeners do tell us. It's been great hearing about what you're doing now, and we're hoping then later on that we can get you back to the college to talk to these students who are in communications. And so we'd like to thank our guest, Sam Kille, Communications Director for the Shepherd Higher Education Consortium on Poverty and a proud alumni of Nassau Community College, for being with us today. Thank you.
And
so
then
much.
how can our audience contact you?
So if they want to find out more about Shepherd, they can go to our website, shepherdconsortium.org. You can also find my contact info there, and you can find me on Twitter and LinkedIn. I think your show found me on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn, yeah.
It's part of that network building.
Oh, you have that Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is @SamKille, SamKille.
Okay. We want to thank you for being with us. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, along with my fabulous friend Aurora Workman, president of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association. The creative director of Lion Tales is Rudy J. Breedy. This show is a production of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association. Visit nassaucommunitycollege.edu/WHPC for more information. Available as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. Lion Tales is powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We'll see you next week.
The views expressed on air are not necessarily those of WHPC, its management, or Nassau Community College. Responsible opposing viewpoints will be considered by emailing them to whpc@ncc.edu or by mail at WHPC 1 Education Drive, Garden City, New York 11530. Thanks for listening to the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. The news that matters to Nassau County, from the students and volunteers at the voice of Nassau Community College. Brought to you by Newsday and Newsday.com. This is the WHPC News Wrap-Up on 90.3 WHPC.
Good evening. It's 28 degrees on this Tuesday, January 22nd. I'm Zach Durkel along with Danielle Schwetz and Jacides Espinal. WHPC News Time is 4:32, and now here is our top story. Opening statements in the corruption retrial of former Nassau County Executive Edward Mangano and his wife Lynnda Mangano got underway today with a 34-minute opening statement in which a federal prosecutor told jurors that the former county executive capitalized on his friendship with restaurateur Harinder Singh to enrich himself at the expense of Nassau County taxpayers. Assistant U.S. Attorney Lara Trintis-Gatz told jurors, quote, "This is a case about corruption and greed at the highest level of county government. The victim of these crimes, ladies and gentlemen, is the taxpayers of Nassau County. Corruption matters." She urged jurors to focus on the dates that prosecutors say Singh began giving the Manganos expensive gifts and a no-show job for Lynnda Mangano, and the parallel between those gifts and when Singh benefited from the official auction by the then county executive in the form of lucrative county contracts. The prosecutor claimed that in the more than 20 years of friendships, but before Mangano became county executive, there were no lavish gifts, no free vacations, and no lucrative job for doing nothing. Mangano and his wife Lynnda are accused of partaking in a scheme involving Singh, who has pleaded guilty to providing them with perks ranging from a $450,000 no-show job for Lynnda Mangano to office and massage chairs for Edward Mangano in exchange for county contracts and town-linked loans, boosting his restaurant empire. Lynnda Mangano is accused of lying to the FBI when questioned about the alleged corruption. Defense attorneys have argued that any benefit Mangano and his wife received were merely gifts from their longtime close friend Singh, not bribes to help Singh's fledgling restaurant empire. The Manganos have pleaded not guilty to the charges. Their first trial on the same charges lasted 12 weeks and resulted in a mistrial.
As the federal shutdown entered its 32nd day today, Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell is expected to introduce a bill to reopen the government. The bill was proposed by President Trump as a compromise between Republicans who want money for a wall and Democrats who want to protect 1 million immigrants from the DACA program. The Trump administration said if Democrats, who control the House, reject this bill, 800,000 furloughed federal workers will miss a second paycheck. The bill would fund all portions of the government that have been unfunded since the shutdown started on December 22nd. It will also include billions in disaster aid and an extension that protects women from violence.
The number of TSA workers calling in sick amid the federal shutdown has reached nearly 8% today. The agency reported only 3.1% in unscheduled absences at the same time last year. This means 1 in almost 8 TSA workers are not reporting for work. The TSA released an update today saying, quote, "TSA continues to carry out its mission by optimizing resources, managing consolidation efforts, and ensuring screening lanes are properly staffed. Airports may exercise backup plans due to call-outs and traveler volume in order to maintain effective security standards. TSA statistics show wait times in Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport top the average at 41 minutes.
Hempstead Town Councilwoman Erin King Sweeney announced today that she was diagnosed with breast cancer and plans to continue to serve in office. The 45-year-old was diagnosed the first week of December. She underwent a successful lipectomy on January 17th at NYU Langone Health in Manhattan and is slated to undergo 3 weeks of radiation therapy starting next month. King Sweeney wants to focus on outreach to minority women who may not have access to health care. She will push for greater research into the cause of high rates of cancer on Long Island and toxins in the environment and drinking water. The diagnosis would not stop her from serving on the town board and plans to run for re-election for a 4-year term in November.
The Long Island Railroad's Port Jefferson, Oyster Bay, and Ronkonkoma branches were on or are close to schedule this afternoon after a broken rail near New Hyde Park was repaired. Earlier, there were delays of 5 to 10 minutes, the second day in a row that a broken rail has slowed the morning rush hour. During yesterday's morning commute, there were delays and cancellations because of a broken rail near Cold Spring Harbor that slowed service. An LIRR spokesperson said that the cause was under investigation, but the broken rails are often correlated with bad weather. However, Newsday reported that the railroad's year-ending on-time performance for last year was the lowest in almost 20 years.
Coming up on the WHPC News Wrap-Up.
The government shutdown is affecting federal employees on Long Island. Find out how up next right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hi, I'm Rob Leonard, host of Beatles Songs for the past 24 years right here on WHPC. Beatles Songs airs every Friday from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m., playing the music of the Beatles together, apart, along with Beatle cover songs and songs the Beatles covered, along with songs the Beatle either guested on and or produced. And of course, we provide Beatle news. It's not the same show where they play the same 10 songs. So join me every Friday for Beatle Songs, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College, streaming at ncc.edu/WHPC.
Hi, I'm Dr. Veronica Onwuri with the American Academy of Family Physicians with tips for staying healthy this cold and flu season. Always wash your hands with soap and water. Cough or sneeze into your upper sleeve, not your hands. Eat well and get plenty of rest. And most important, before flu season even starts, get a flu shot. Remember, you cannot get the flu from the flu shot. For more on staying healthy this flu season, visit familydoctor.org or talk with your family physician.
This is the WHPC News Wrap-Up on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
WHPC News Time is 4:39. The federal government shutdown, already putting a strain on an estimated 14,000 federal employees across Long Island, will claim its next victim in the coming weeks. More than 150,000 food stamp recipients from Nassau and Suffolk counties. The Department of Agriculture can only fund the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP, through the end of February. If the shutdown does not end soon, more than 150,000 Long Island residents who rely on the program to purchase groceries will not get those benefits in March. Funding for the USDA's Emergency Food Assistance Program, which provides local food banks and soup kitchens, also will expire at the end of next month.
The U.S. Supreme Court today opted to stay out of an appeal to the Trump administration's new restriction for transgender troops. By not acting on the transgender case, the administration can start enforcing its restriction on transgenders in the military. The Trump administration overturned an Obama-era rule restricting military service members who identify with a gender other than the one they were born with. That battle will now continue in lower courts. While the restriction on transgenders is a victory for the Trump administration, the court's allowed continuation of DACA is a setback. The court's inaction on DACA allows dreamers, children brought to the country illegally, to remain for another 10 to 12 months.
Officials in Washington state have declared a measles outbreak after 22 people became infected this year, following the second year for measles nationwide. Measles have declared eliminated in the United States in 2000 due to its vaccination program, and new outbreaks have been caused by travelers who bring the virus back from other countries and spreads among people who are not vaccinated. The infectious viral disease causing fever and red skin rash typically impacts children and has infected 20 children out of at least 22 people infected so far. The outbreak comes after the CDC released data 2018 that showed it has the second worst year for measles in the United States since 2000.
Nassau County Executive Laura Curran reversed course today, allowing U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agencies to occupy new office space just outside the Correctional Center in East Meadow. This ends a month-long standoff with county labor unions. Curran announced that an ICE trailer with 6 federal agents would be relocated from the jail property to space on the campus of the adjacent Nassau University Medical Center. The move came after 100 law enforcement union officials gathered in Mineola to protest Curran's decision. PPA President James McDermott called on Curran to keep the agency at the county jail.
To take ICE out of the equation is to take a cog out of the machine. You know, next time we might not be so lucky and we might lose a police officer or an agent because we're not going to be receiving this information because the officers are not going to be there on the premise to interview the gang members and get the information that we need. I'm calling on the county executive to reconsider a decision. Actually, just stop the madness. This is their decision. It's a no-brainer, and let's go forward. This is a 20-year relationship we've had with ICE, and we should continue it.
Nassau Police Commissioner Patrick Ryder supported the move.
North Hempstead officials plan to present a revised version of their ban on gas-powered landscaping equipment during a public meeting next week. Residents complained last summer about the noise and pollution that the gas-powered equipment created in neighborhoods, prompting the town council to propose a ban. The proposed ban, which applied to commercial landscapers only, would have prohibited use of the leaf blowers and other motorized landscaping tools, even the electric variety, before 8 a.m. or after 7 p.m. on weekdays, and before 10 a.m. and after 5 p.m. on weekends and holidays. Gas-powered blowers and equipment would have been completely banned between June 1st and September 30th. Town council members were set to vote on the ban in October, but heard pushback from landscapers.
Coming up on the WHPC News Wrap-Up.
What happened in Amityville? Well, find out up next right here in the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hello, this is Uwe Riggers, host of the German Hit Parade. Tune in every Monday evening at 7 to hear many of the most popular German recording artists of the past 60 years. Hört euch die schönen Lieder an. During our 60-minute show, you will also hear about the latest events in the German-American community, and you will never know who may turn up live at our studios or at what event we may turn up live. So tune in every Monday evening at 7 for the German Hit Parade on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
This is the WHPC News Wrap-Up on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
WHPC News Time is 4:44. Police say a 39-year-old man was fatally shot in Amityville. The shooting happened at Park Place and Albany Avenue around 7:45 a.m. Detective Lieutenant Kevin Baer says a man is in custody and knew the victim, and said the suspect called 911 on himself.
Patrol officers responded, took that person into custody, transported him to the first precinct. They then responded to this location and found a person, a 39-year-old male, shot inside a car. He was transported to Good Samaritan Hospital where he's pronounced dead. The person right now at the first precinct is being investigated by homicide detectives, and charges will be determined in the afternoon.
The victim's identity has not been released.
The FBI Agents Association Advocacy Group released a report today, saying that the ongoing government shutdown has strained Bureau resources and is undermining criminal counterterrorism and counterintelligence operations. The president of the FBI Agents Association, Tom O'Connor, stressed the importance of holding a hearing on the matter.
I first want to make one point clear. Agents were working cases yesterday, they're working cases today, and they will be working cases tomorrow. They're doing so without pay and under conditions that grow more challenging every day.
According to the report, FBI agents are subjected to rigorous financial background checks. If an agent misses a debt payment due to not receiving a paycheck, it could lead to a delay in renewing security clearances or could even disqualify an agent from service.
The Arizona Supreme Court heard arguments today in a case that could help define how far business owners can go in expressing their religious freedom by denying services to others, such as gay couples. Local business owners and the Conservative Alliance Defending Freedom are challenging a City of Phoenix ordinance that says that they cannot deny services to same-sex couples. The female owners describe themselves as devout Christians who say they should not be forced to produce custom wedding invitations, place cards, and other artistic materials in their business for gay couples because of their religious beliefs that gay people should not marry. While the women have not actually turned down services for same-sex couples, they have challenged the law as a preemptive move.
South Korea is reporting that the United States and North Korea made progress during talks in Sweden over the weekend. The U.S. Special Representative to North Korea met with North Korean diplomats and discussed economic development for the North in addition to denuclearization. The United States has repeatedly asked North Korea to provide a list pertaining to its nuclear arsenal. Pyongyang has stalled and instead presses Washington for sanctions for relief. But a South Korean foreign ministry official told the newspaper that, quote, atmospherics were good during talks.
Okay, let's take a look at the WHPC Business News Update. Let's see how the stock markets closed today. Well, everything closed down. The Dow closed down 301 points at 24,404. The Nasdaq closed down 136 points at 7,020. And the S&P 500 closed down 37 points at 2,632. And now here's a business news story. Real estate brokers are trying to figure out why sales of existing home prices plunged in December. The 4.6% monthly move was unusually large, regardless of direction. The tally from the National Association of Realtors generally moves in the very low single digits month to month. In fact, the shift was one of the largest that didn't involve some sort of change in government policy like the homebuyer tax credit. The supply of homes for sale also rose just more than 3% compared with a year ago. Low supply had been holding sales back last spring despite strong demand. So it would make sense that more supply would boost sales, making this a sign that demand is weakening.
Now, your WHPC Long Island weather forecast.
Tonight, make sure to stay warm because it's going to be mostly cloudy with a low of 23 degrees. And tomorrow, a little bit warmer and clouding up with a high of 44 degrees. And Thursday, get your shorts out because it's going to be a scorcher, at least in comparison. Especially after yesterday's weather with a high of 54. Yes, 54 degrees. But do expect some rain throughout the day. And right now, it's 28 degrees outside our studios in Garden City.
Coming up on the WHPC News Wrap-Up.
One British comedy series is tied with some of the most nominations that the Academy Awards has today. Find out which up next in entertainment news right here on the Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Katie the Vulture. If I ever leave this world, I may never leave this world.
Ireland and the Irish are known for their music. Irish music started about 1000 BC and has remained a major part of Irish culture and tradition. It has influenced many genres of music such as country, rock, and classical.
I'm a free-born man of the USA. I'm a free-born man of the USA.
Hear it all when the Voice of Nassau Community College presents Full Irish, Saturday mornings at 11 a.m.
No work today.
Hi, I'm the host of Full Irish, Gary Power. Listen as I present a range of music from Ireland, from traditional to modern. Music that lifts your spirit and transports you to the Emerald Isle. Listen Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. on the Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Slán August Bonnet.
This is the WHPC News Wrap-Up on the Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
WHPC News Time is 4:50, and now in entertainment headlines this afternoon, the British costume comedy The Favorites and the black and white Mexican memoir Roma tied with 10 nods each when the Academy Award nominations were announced in Los Angeles today. Roma has the distinction of becoming the first Netflix movie to be nominated for Best Picture. It will compete with Black Panther, which earned 7 nominations, and is the first superhero blockbuster nominated for the highest honor. Renowned filmmaker Spike Lee was also nominated for his first Best Directed Oscar for helming BlacKkKlansman, another Best Picture contender. The winners of the Academy Awards will be revealed at the gala on February 24th at the Dolby Theater in Hollywood. Kevin Hart recently confirmed that he will not host the event as he had initially planned. No replacement has been announced.
The upcoming Cats movie will feature Taylor Swift as the character Bomb Ballerina. The 29-year-old singer confirmed the news today by sharing a photo from the set of Tom Hooper's big screen adaptation of the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical. Deadline reported Swift's involvement with Cats in July, when Webber gave a hit about the singer's character in an interview in September. Cats is based on the T.S. Eliot book, Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. Webber's musical opened on the West End in 1981 and debuted on Broadway the next year.
Chris Brown has been arrested on rape charges. A 24-year-old woman claims that he assaulted her in a hotel suite in Paris earlier this month. She reportedly told police that the pair met at a nightclub in central Paris before they returned to the hotel. 2 other men, identified by French media as Brown's bodyguard and a friend, have also been arrested. The incident is alleged to have occurred at the luxury Mandarin Oriental Hotel on January 15th.
Coming up on the WHPC News Wrap-Up.
You'll never find out what this Texas couple did after they missed their favorite restaurant. Find out, and we also got sports on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
This is Rabbi Pearl. What's happening? I can't take it anymore. Sunday morning, I wake up early to host Jewish Talk at 8:30 a.m., a program that speaks in English but thinks in Yiddish. On the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC, and streaming live on the iHeartRadio app.
This is the WHPC News Wrap-Up on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
WHPC News Time is 4:53, and now for a look at sports, here is Mr. Notre Dame himself, Eric Fischetti.
Zach, you're ridiculous. But later tonight, Mariano Rivera will complete his journey from the humblest of beginnings to the Hall of Fame. The iconic closer who grew up to the son of a fisherman in the small Panamanian village of Puerto Camito saved a record 652 games in a 19-year career with the Yankees from 1995 to 2013. He will get the call from the Hall of Fame before tonight's 6 p.m. announcement. Pitcher Roy Halladay, who unfortunately and drastically died in a plane crash in November of 2017 at the age of 40, appears all but certain to be elected in his first year of eligibility. So does designated hitter Edgar Martinez, who received 70.4% of the vote last year. And just with that, an inductee must receive 75% from Eligible Baseball Writers Association of America members. With just over 50% of the ballots calculated by Hall of Fame ballot tracker Ryan Thibodeau of Twitter, Martinez was on the 90.3%, that's funny, percent of this year's ballots. It will come down to the wire for former Yankee Mike Mussina, who received 63.5% of the vote last year and was on 81.2% of the known ballots this year, and Kurt Schilling, who got 51.2% in 2018 and appeared on the 71% of the 2019 ballots. Based on trends from the last few years in the final tally, Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds again look as if they'll come up short. Many voters choose not to publicize their ballots before the final announcement. Much focus will be on whether Rivera, signed by the Yankees as an undrafted free agent in 1990 for the now unbelievable sum of $3,000, becomes the Hall's first unanimous selection. Ken Griffey Jr. came the closest when he received 99.3% of the vote in 2016. Yet in many ways, that's irrelevant. Now in hockey news, the hottest team in the NHL since the middle of December stepped out on the indoor ice in East Meadow on Monday to practice for one last game before skating off in the direction of a vacation. The first-place Islanders are hoping to end with one last victory tonight at United Center in Chicago. Things have been going great for the Islanders, who have won 5 straight and league-best 15 of 18 dating to December 15th, enabling them to take a 3-point edge in the Metropolitan Division race. After Chicago, they will have a 9-day period with no game scheduled because of the combined All-Star break, also known as the bye week. Coach Barry Trotz said, quote, "We just want to finish strong." The Islanders are coming off consecutive shutouts by Thomas Greiss and Robin Lehner, but they've hardly been giving up shots lately, let alone goals. They've allowed 3 goals in the last 5 games and held teams to fewer than 20 shots in the last 3, thanks to their disciplined structure. The puck will drop tonight at 8:30 between the Blackhawks and the New York Islanders. And finally, in some broadcasting news, Al Leiter, the former Yankees and Mets pitcher, will not return to the Yes Network booth as an analyst for the 2019 season. Leiter, a former Yankees and Mets pitcher, as previously mentioned, who joined Yes in 2006, told the New York Post, which first reported his departure, that he wanted to have more time for his son Jack, an elite pitching prospect who is a senior in high school, who also just committed to Vanderbilt, just an FYI. Yes traditionally has used a rotating cast of analysts, most recently with David Cohn, John Flaherty, Paul O'Neill, and Ken Singleton, all of whom are expected to return alongside lead play-by-play man Michael Kay. And from WHPC Sports, I'm Eric Fischetti.
Now turning to the lighter side of news, a Texas couple who missed Whataburger after moving out into the country created the next best thing: a Whataburger themed coop for their chickens. Trisha Ruiz said her husband asked her to move from Fort Worth to the countryside, and she gave him some stipulations. They had to have a chicken coop, and they had to be able to drive to Whataburger in 10 minutes or less. Ruiz said they were able to find a home that met her requirements, but she was disappointed that she couldn't see Whataburger from her balcony. Ruiz's husband solves her issue by building her a What a Chicken coop, modded after the fast food restaurant.
Processed meat company Oscar Mayer announced it's seeking a qualified hot dogger to be the next driver of the famed Wienermobile. The hot dog company said it's accepting applications until January 31st to be the newest hot dogger, which is Oscar Mayer's term for Wienermobile drivers. The job, which begins in June, would involve the driving of the iconic sausage across the United States, visiting locations including stores, military bases, and charity events. The company's website states applicants should have a 4-year degree in public relations, journalism, communication, advertising, or marketing.
A North Carolina couple who lost their engagement ring on a Costa Rica beach said that the precious item was found nearly a month later by a metal detector owner. Michelle Arias of Charlotte said she put her engagement ring in a fiancé Doug Cotty's tank top pocket for safekeeping December 11th when they were on the beach, and they didn't even realize until it's too late that it had fallen out. When Cotty took the shirt off to apply sunscreen, weeks later, she received a message from a stranger named David Harris. Harris said his metal detector found the ring buried in about a foot of sand. I'd say that it was a lucky find.
Now, your WHPC Long Island weather forecast.
Tonight, make sure to stay warm because it's going to be mostly cloudy with a low of 23 degrees. And tomorrow, it's going to be a bit warmer and clouding up with a high of 44 degrees. And Thursday, get your shorts out because it's going to be a scorcher, especially after yesterday's weather, with a high of 54 degrees, which is impressive now. But expect rain throughout the day, and right now, it's 28 degrees outside our studios in Garden City.
Thanks for listening to the WHPC News Wrap-Up. For Danielle Schwetz, Jacides Espinal, I'm Zach Turkel. Coming up next, we got WHPC Sports Talk. Good night, everybody.
The WHPC News Wrap-Up is brought to you by Newsday and Newsday.com on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
This portion of programming on 90.3 WHPC is brought to you by the Center for Workforce Development at Nassau Community College. Looking to expand and reinforce your project management knowledge? In a Lean Six Sigma approach for managing project quality course, students will be introduced to the most valuable and practical quality improvement tools used by project managers. This course will conclude with a discussion of options for Lean Six Sigma certifications. The course meets on Monday evenings for 3 sessions beginning on March 4th. More information can be found by contacting the Center for Workforce Development at 516-572-7487 or by visiting ncc.edu.
This show is brought to you by La Piazza, pizza, pasta, and brick oven. Delivery and both on- and off-premise catering also available. With locations at 1137 Old Country Road in Plainview, 2191 Merrick Road